Hi, welcome to Food for Thought. Today my guest is Brian Tymann, one of our trustees from the village of Westhampton Beach. How are you?
Great.
So formal.
Well, I know.
Brian and I are
I don't want to
friends.
crush you.
Yeah, no. That's right. So Brian is going to be making something he actually makes a lot of at home. He makes a lot of things actually, but this is something that he has grown to be very fond of. Why don't you say what the name of it is, because I don't want to mess it up.
It's carbonara.
Oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah, pretty easy. It's. I wouldn't say it's somewhat traditional. I learned it from where most people go for their Italian recipes off the coast of Panama on a jungle island from a French Canadian
That's how
guy.
you usually do it. Yeah, you're right.
That's standard. But yeah, he taught it to me, and as I've mentioned to you before, I don't really follow recipes very well.
Yeah, we were
So I
talking
kind of
about that.
learned the basics from him, and I modify it a little bit every time, but that's the good part about cooking.
Cool. Okay, so let's run through what we have here. This was about 5 cloves of garlic?
Yes,
All right.
exactly. Yep.
And you did it as a rough chop. They're not minced.
Yeah, it's a rough chop, and you'll find pieces of all different sizes in there. So you'll get some that'll like caramelize, and some that'll still be a little, meaty.
Okay.
So I like to mix
Super.
that up.
And this is one, I would say, small to medium onion. Are you going to leave like this, or are you going to dice it up?
I'm gonna leave it like that.
Okay, so it's just
Yeah.
halved and then
Yep,
sliced.
halved and sliced into about 5 per half.
Okay. Parmesan cheese?
Yeah, Parmesan, a full container. You buy them in those plastic
I'd say
containers.
that's about 1.5 cups
Yeah.
here. We have 6 eggs
Mm-hmm.
and a pound of the good stuff, the bacon. Everybody
The
loves
bacon.
And we were talking about this before. You prefer kind of like a medium consistency as opposed to thin cut or a thick slab cut?
Yeah, I traditionally pancetta is used or bacon. It's one of those things, whatever's around. But the pancetta, sometimes if you buy it pre-chopped, it comes cubed, and I
Yeah.
don't really like it cubed.
Okay.
And then you could buy super thick cut bacon, or thick cut or thin. I go with the medium,
Okay.
the middle of the
I feel like the
road.
bacon has a little bit more fat, which obviously equals flavor. So
Yeah, I mean, who
the
doesn't like
pancetta.
bacon?
I know.
I mean,
It's the
it's
same.
you want to make the people happy, you give them bacon.
And we've already put on our water because, as we said before, there are a couple steps to this. But the things that take the most time are the boiling of the water, as usual, and then sautéing everything up. And actually, the wine is not just there for decoration. That's part of this, right? About a cup.
Yeah, we're just going to drink the whole thing while we cook.
Not.
No,
Okay,
no.
that's about a cup.
Yeah. Again, in terms of measurement, I like to, eyeball it and feel it out. But really, that's all about the flavor. When I'm getting the bacon, onions, and garlic going, I add that and I reduce it. And like I said, there was a real story off the coast of Panama. This French Canadian guy who just was all over the place, no measurement, and everything was excessive. The eggs. I think if you look up a traditional carbonara recipe, you'll never find 6 eggs as part of it. So the same thing with the wine. I just kind of play it by ear and see how it reduces.
Do you add
and-
salt to this? Because I mean, with the bacon, I would think it's got a lot of salt, and the cheese
Yeah,
a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, as with anything I cook, I leave salt for last, especially if I'm cooking for people that I don't know.
Right.
It's you do the salting.
Okay.
Because
I put salt in because whenever you make pasta, I've thought in the beginning like you could just skip the salt in the pasta and it doesn't make a difference, but it does make a huge
Absolutely.
difference. So I generously salted the pot with the boiling water for the
Great.
pasta, so that will do.
yeah,
So the time-consuming things of this are not, and they're not terribly time-consuming. Just the things that you have to pay attention to are the pasta. The later on, after you get everything sautéed, which we're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
you say that you wait for the wine to kind of get,
yeah. We don't want anything too liquidy with that onion, bacon, garlic mix.
Yep.
We want it, kind of moist, but not liquidy.
Okay.
So that's when I kind of halt, and sometimes I even halt the wine based on where the pasta's at, because this, as I've said before, this recipe comes together like in a flash.
Right.
You're
Because you
doing
have
this,
eggs
you're doing
and
that,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden your bacon is ready, the pasta is ready, and the eggs and Parmesan are just sitting there, and it all goes together, and then you're ready to eat.
So it's the kind of thing really you would look to serve it pretty close, if not exactly when you're making it.
Yeah.
I would think because then the pasta absorbs some of the sauce and stuff.
Yes,
so.
exactly.
Okay. All right, awesome. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to just kind of try and break this down into steps. Would be to mix the cheese with the eggs. So
Yeah.
why don't you
Yeah, we
get going
we
on
put that
that
together. Now, what I do is, it's a little unnecessary around here, but when I learned this recipe, this guy, Richard, was insistent on cracking the eggs in a separate container to make sure that they were good, that there was nothing bad. So he put it in here because you put, let's say you have 5 of them in there, you put a 6th one in, there's something wrong with it, you ruin the whole thing.
No,
so
smart.
it takes a little extra time, but that's the way they did it. And when we lived, my wife and I lived in Panama for a while, that's when I learned this, and our eggs were never refrigerated. And
that's funny. I'm so conscious about doing it now, but growing up, my mom never refrigerated.
When we went into the little bodegas in our town, they were just stacked on the floor. And I heard that I forget my own rule, that it's something to do with some sort of coating or something about the outside of the shell that we do here that they don't do there.
Oh, okay. In
the jungle island of Panama, and that has something to do with it. I don't know, but regardless, they're more cautious. I lost a shell.
That's exactly why you do it in another.
Last one. Thing. Yep. Well, it's easier to fish out of here than. Do you have a spoon?
Yeah.
But they're very cautious about their egg mixing and how they do eggs because of the way they're stored. Perfect.
And I want to talk a little bit about what you do for the village, because you have a number of projects that you have going right now. Actually, you have a really exciting one coming forward that you've done in the name of revitalization for the downtown business area and economic vitality. Tell me a little bit about it.
Part of the reason why I ran and got involved in the village was because of the opportunity in Westhampton Beach Village to grow and kind of come back as a destination and economic hub that it used to be, but under a different premise. It was a little more of a party scene back in the day, which we don't necessarily want to go back to, but there's so much opportunity now. So we also have a challenge environmentally in the village where we have a main street that is basically almost at water level, bay level, and we have a Monty Bog Canal in the back.
Yeah.
And there's some serious pollution issues because all of the properties are on private septic systems, which is a classic example of a perfect candidate for a sewer district. You sewer downtown, you get all the waste pumped out, treated off-site, and now you have environmental benefits and also the economic benefits that we're crippled by right now because you can't really put a new restaurant or bar in.
Right.
Because there's nowhere to put the waste.
Right. Which is something we've been struggling with in a lot of different places.
Yeah, exactly. So, Westhampton Beach has been primed for it.
Yeah,
I mean, I just whip them up, again, loosely, nothing crazy. You don't have to be concerned about where the yolk is. It's... I
feel like I've stolen your job.
It's
habit.
But that's it. We get this going and just let it sit. That is not going to be touched again until we are ready for the final product.
Okay, great. I mean, it's a gorgeous yellow color, which I know it would be anyway for any eggs, but I know you used organic eggs, and the coloring is it's different. It's just an absolutely different
big
egg.
Difference.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's great.
Difference.
Okay, so we'll put that to the side.
Yep.
And next, we're going to go on to sauteing the bacon with the onion and the garlic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Super. So we have the bacon, the garlic, and the onion, and you're just now going to move to the second step, which is kind of sauteing all that up and letting it get all crisp.
Yeah, I mean, first step in a lot of meals that I make, I'll get something like garlic and onion sauteing early, especially with some oil. But the bacon takes care of that, so I'll throw that in first and get it a little loose and start rendering the fat. Okay. Then I'll get these in there. They'll all have plenty of opportunity to cook because I'm doing that white wine reduction. So it's cooking and cooking and cooking. And I like to get the bacon, I wouldn't say crispy, but get a little bit of,
A little blue color on it.
yeah,
Okay.
early on. So,
And then you tell me
some-
how you want to time it because we have the water on. So then you just tell me when you think we should,
okay. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the water as we do this because, like I said, this is flexible. You add, if you need more time for the water, add a little more white wine. Just
all
keep
right,
it going.
just keep reducing it
Yeah,
down. Okay.
exactly.
I guess it's more flavor.
All,
It can't be
that's
bad.
the flavor.
Can't be bad.
That's the flavor.
Okay.
Is
All right.
it, is it Godfather or Goodfellas? It's Goodfellas. That's the flavor. All right. So, give it a little more heat
Okay.
to start. And again, this is pretty rough chop.
That's
It's
a
starting
full
to
pound,
sizzle
so-
already.
And
Yeah, it's a lot.
We're using, for pasta, we're using a pound of pasta
Yeah.
as well.
Yep. And I like to use, for this, I like to use big noodles.
Yeah, let me get the noodles.
There are so many different things you can use in it, but the bigger the better, whether it's a wide strip or if it's like picari,
Those are great.
that's my favorite kind of pasta in general, but like a pappardelle
Oh, that would be nice.
it's really the wider it's nowhere for the flavor to hide.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it sops it all up.
Yep.
That's awesome. So just getting back to your project for a second, because I know we were excited because you actually were in the first round of funding that we had with the CPF extension that the State Assemblyman Thiel was able to get through, and Senator Laval, for that up to 20% of the water quality, for water quality. And we were able to use that, and you and I think 5 other, mostly villages, I think.
Yeah, it was. You're right. It was 5 other. There were 7 applications. 2 of them were ours, and then
Okay.
5 other municipalities. Classic example of intermunicipal cooperation. I don't know if you saw our letter
Yeah.
in the press
Yeah.
this week
That's
from the
great.
village
That was great.
board members, and really appreciative
Thank
of
you.
that.
Yeah,
And
it was
the
nice.
voters spoke about that 20%.
Mm-hmm.
They said we have this this fund, the CPF fund, and we would like to see 20% of that go towards water quality improvement, and that's what happened.
And with the extension
You-
into 50 years from now, it really gives us the ability to do some really substantial, long-lasting
Substantial
projects.
Yeah, this isn't small stuff
this
that's
is
a drop
big.
in the
This
bucket.
is
This
big.
is big stuff.
Yeah.
So thanks to that legislation and your support on the board, unanimously, it's going to make a big impact on not only the environment but the economy of Westhampton Beach.
Which is great. And we're all excited.
It's a win-win. It's it's
You guys
great.
have the planning in place for it already, right? You did.
We do,
several-
and that was one of the things that we were really proud of is that when the town got their application process together for this 20%, everything that was asked for, which was very thorough, and your staff did a phenomenal job in putting together a very thorough application
That's good,
process.
yeah.
We had it already. It was all done.
That's great.
They said, you need this. We said, all right, we have that.
have it.
Our engineers did that already.
Makes it a
So-
lot smoother.
It was great.
When do you think that they'll actually begin like construction or?
So 2 projects, separate projects. The Main Street reconstruction, which involves drainage and a lot of things like that, that was partially funded by the CPF 20% that you did. And then there's the sewer district, separate project. Main Street project breaks ground in a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all marked out. We're waiting for DEC dewatering permits.
Yep.
Just a few weeks away, but our contractor is ready to
Ready to go?
Ready
Oh,
to
that's
go.
Super. That's
Yeah.
great. That's exciting.
Yeah, really
exciting.
exciting.
So what else are you working on over in the village? As if that's not enough.
Yeah, those are massive projects, and they are going to completely change Westhampton Beach in a good way.
Yeah.
Other projects, I'm working on a memorial flag park for veterans, for members of the service. That down at our marina, we're going to be constructing a little park with a path that has the American flag in the center and the branches of the military around it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it's being funded by donors as well as our parks fund, not a penny from the taxpayer.
That's great. That's beautiful.
So it's again another no-brainer win-win.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's wonderful.
And we will
I think
be.
Sunday told me about that.
Yeah,
Somebody said
Sunday's
her
very involved in that
grandfather
because of her grandfather.
Yeah.
It's actually
is great now.
he has the center plaque, the memorial right by
that's
the
sweet.
American flag.
That's
It's
great.
all about Arma Hamanden.
That's amazing.
And she's doing some benches that she's sponsoring.
Yeah.
But it's a great community project. Again, no brainer. It's being
Yeah,
funded
no, that's
by
super.
private people and Parks Fund, and we'll dedicate it by Memorial Day this year.
That's really nice. That's great.
Yep.
So it looks like it's getting some color
Yep.
on some of it.
Yeah, it's getting there.
It gives a lot of juice. I mean, a lot of the fat is,
Yeah,
breaking
and
it down.
it's a lot of meat. It takes a while for it to actually render and then get some color on it and get
And you
some
leave
crisp.
all that in there. I mean, you leave that. You're going to use all that.
Yeah, we don't
I mean,
drain
it's not
anything.
Like so much. So
No, it's not. And if you look at it in comparison to something that you add olive oil to, or
Right. You would
something,
add
or
like a quarter
butter.
cup, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
Okay. That's
we're
great.
just taking it out of the meat and adding it to the consistency and the flavor.
That's great.
So I'll probably give it a blast of more heat,
Okay.
and then get the onions and garlic in there.
All right.
Smell that?
I do.
Delish.
Just wanted to mention, because I mentioned your shirt and the anchor and whatever. Can you give us an idea what that is about?
Yeah. So I own a company called Hampton Trading Company. We're essentially an apparel and accessories company, built around this logo. That's called a whale tail anchor.
I'm starting to see them everywhere because we're all grabbing.
That's good. That's good. I like that. On cars and
Yeah.
shirts and whatnot. So we started something this year called 30 for 30, which is a series of T-shirts for $30 that 30% of the proceeds go towards a local charity.
Oh, wow.
And the charities are all kind of based on a broad cause that we can then give to a local charity that services that
Oh,
cause.
that's really nice.
So the first one, this one just came out this week, is for Autism
Autism.
Awareness,
That's
as
super.
you can see.
Yep, with the puzzle pieces.
And the proceeds are going to East End Disability Associates in Riverhead.
Oh, really nice.
Great organization
Yeah, they do a lot of good work.
that my brother-in-law works for as well, and a lot of people that I know. It's just really, it employs a lot of people and services
That's in
lot of
Riverhead,
people.
right? Is it?
Yeah, based in
So
Riverhead.
That's nice.
So that's this. We took the autism logo and
The puzzle pieces.
yeah, and
then
put
just
it on our
Well, it's great.
whale tail anchor
It looks,
logo.
It looks
so
great. And it's
yeah,
a good cause.
Well,
So
thanks.
you get that.
Thanks. All right, I think this is perfect.
Okay.
We are ready.
It's spitting up.
We are ready to get in all that beautiful fat, onions and garlic. It's nice and hot, so these onions and garlic are going to cook up really
Yeah, they almost fry.
nicely.
It's like-
Yep. Yeah, that's super hot. I have the heat on pretty high to
But it really crisped it up. I mean, it took it to a whole nother level when you did that, when you put that up. What, do
time.
you want to, can you tell where the water is? If we, like,
yeah. I mean, you
got those
it
little
looks-
tiny bubbles coming up?
yeah, it looks
Nothing
pretty
yet?
good. It looks like it's in a good spot, and
Okay.
like I said,
You've got to reduce that down still, so you have some time.
yeah. I have plenty of time here for this to cook more, and the bacon is perfect right now. And then once the white wine gets in there, it's going to stop. The bacon is crisping right now, but it's going to stop that process and really slow it down and get the flavor in there without overcooking any of this stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is perfect. When I cook, everything comes out differently every time, which is kind of fun,
Yeah,
I think,
always good, which is important.
but always good.
Yeah.
Yes,
You need
different
that
but
part.
good.
Different but good.
Yeah, that's key. No failures, but what is that guy? What's his face? Emerald, right? Didn't
Yeah.
he say happy
Bam.
accidents? No. That's not Emerald. It's Bob Ross. Bob Ross. Yeah, Emerald with the BAM, and he wasn't a measurer either. He was just like, yeah, throw it in, and I love that.
Some of the best cooks just do it by eye, and they're just,
Yep.
throwing everything in, and they know instinctually what you should and shouldn't do when it's enough, which is a great skill.
I want to apply that happy accidents thing to the cooking world from Bob Ross. It's no mistakes.
So applied.
Just happy.
You got
happy.
it.
Do I have it? Is it done?
I just did it.
Done.
Just did it. You missed it. It was so fast.
I love it. Yeah, let's get some wine in here now.
Okay. Now, is this going to spit up? No?
No.
Oh, that's great. I always thought when you added a liquid to an oil like that, you get this.
Yeah, I mean, it'll, the water.
Half a cup, if anybody is measuring.
You're such a measurer.
Well, I'm just trying to give everybody a sense
I know,
of what it
I
is,
know.
'cause you kinda
I'm
can't
so
tell
bad
when
at
you're-
that.
No,
Well,
no, no.
it's
We
a
did this-
bottle of wine minus that.
Okay, you better half a cup.
Half a cup. Thank you.
We did this when my grandmother would come up with a great recipe, and we'd want to make it. And then we'd realize she didn't write anything down, because a lot of people don't. And so we would have to follow her around the kitchen and try and guesstimate what that was that she just put in there, and then write it down so that we could have the traditions, long after, obviously, she's here.
My
But
wife does that, but she just gave up because I just keep cooking.
she can't keep
She
up
once
with
called
you.
me to ask me details on, she'll kill me for saying this, but how to cook a baked potato.
Oh, yeah, don't tell him.
She wanted to know the, no one's going to know about it. Wait, is
Yeah,
this,
no,
is
no,
this
no,
being filmed?
just Trina.
Whoops. She wanted to know what temperature. I was like, the temperature doesn't really matter, throw
Just
375, 400. It's a little less time, more time. It's all good.
Well, I guess if you're not used to cooking, it can be a little bit, intimidating. You want to get everything
Absolutely.
just right, because
Yeah.
you're usually serving other people,
Yeah, I
and
understand
you just
it.
want it to taste good.
I
Because a lot
just-
of people, I know, I mean, this is how you show you care. When you present somebody with a good meal, usually your family or whomever.
Yep. But yeah, we got this bacon perfect
Yeah, it looks great.
because it just halted.
And the onions are kind of translucent, so they've been sweated out really well.
Yep. Yep.
The garlic I can't even really distinguish. I see a couple of pieces, but not really.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
There's a couple
It'll
little
just
pieces
melt
there,
away.
but yeah. And that's why I like mixing up the size of the chop. I don't want everything uniform. It's, you'll get a bite with a little piece of garlic, and then some of the small stuff just already melted away.
It smells so good right
It-
now. It really does.
That
And once you
that
put the
wine,
in, it
oh,
just, like, enhanced
the
everything.
wine is everything.
All right, I think he's putting in another half a cup. Yep, about another half a cup.
Yeah, that's about right. And I think that'll probably take us down to the right timing once this.
For the pasta.
I think so,
Okay,
right?
close,
How's it bubbling?
close.
Oh, man, the white wine, the aroma,
So, I mean, you can
smells
use
so good.
you can use fresh pasta too.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you dried, it takes a little bit longer. How long would you keep this in? A lot of people like it al dente.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. I don't time exactly, but I know it's probably around 8 to 10 minutes
Okay,
or so.
all right, I just want to keep it.
And that gets it al dente.
Okay.
Might
I like it al dente too. I mean, most people
might take a
do.
tiny bit longer, but like I said, in my normal cooking fashion, I never use timing or measurements.
Oh, who needs that?
Well, I feel like it adds to the fun of
Yeah.
cooking, and like I said, it comes out a little differently. Unlike baking, if it comes out a little differently, it might be,
I can't when you bake.
it might be a cupcake that
Looks
isn't
like
a
It
cupcake.
looks like a pancake.
Right. That's a problem. But this, you can't go wrong.
Now, are carbonara recipes historically done with a cream sauce or a base, or is it just the eggs that give it that rich creaminess?
It's all about the eggs and the Parmesan.
Okay.
That's from everything that I've learned and looked at and experienced with other people. It's all about the eggs and the Parmesan. With the bacon or pancetta, you can really use anything, but any kind of pork, cured pork. That's the base, and that's really it. I haven't seen really much of anything with any cream involved.
And traditionally, it just has the meat, whichever, the pancetta, bacon, or a combination of both, and the onions, and that's...
Well, yeah, the onions, I believe, are less common.
Okay. What would it normally have then? Like what?
Just the garlic and the pancetta or bacon. I like I said before about garlic. I add garlic and typically onions to everything I cook.
Oh, that smells so good. It smells so yummy, right? It smells so good.
Here, let me move this.
So I just shaved the flowers, if you will, of the parsley off the stem. And then you initially, just to make it a little bit more, because it gets unruly if you're trying to cut it, just give it a rough chop, and that'll bring the volume down so that it becomes more manageable. And then you kind of just try and corral it all together. And you mince it, and you just keep trying to change the direction a little bit. Just work your knife across it. And ultimately you'll wind up with a pretty fine chop of parsley. And you can use that obviously as a garnish, or as part of your mixture for a little. It does get a little flavor. A lot of people don't think the parsley has flavor, but it actually does have a nice little pop of freshness that you may want inside as well as on top of your meal. So we put the pound of pasta in here just a few minutes ago, and we'll roughly time it so that we are at about 8 to 10 minutes, like you said.
Yeah,
roughly,
16.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you reduced the heat on that a little bit.
Reduce that. While people weren't looking, I added just a little bit more.
Okay,
and
so
a little more there.
I'm going to say another quarter cup. I got to give a measurement.
I mean, a lot of times I wind up seriously about a half bottle left.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just keep getting the flavor in there.
Quarter, cup and a half.
Yep.
And in the break, we did some parsley for garnish, just a quick chop on that, which is a nice pop of color, really to any meal if you need it. And we also just brought out some cheese that we're going to put that can be used to top it on the side for a little extra, because who doesn't love extra cheese?
A little more, a little more, a little more.
Do you put oil in your pasta? Some people put oil in the water.
I don't.
Okay.
I just salt it.
Okay.
Never
enough.
have.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Let's give it a little.
Yeah, and my process, consistent with my, being a little bit outside the box, is I grab a little piece of pasta and taste it and figure it out.
Feel free to do that. You have
soon
a
as,
little bowl.
thank you. But yeah, I would say probably another 4 minutes or so, and then we can take a taste. And again, timing's working out perfectly.
The bacon, I was a little bit concerned that the bacon would over brown because it was such a great color like 4 minutes ago. But it really did stop that cooking process.
Yep.
Once you put that wine in
Yeah,
there.
you really do. We got it to where we wanted it, and it's staying there. All right, let me take a look at these. Got a little bit of white in there. It's just about ready.
Yeah.
Just about. Heat is off on both. Turn that off. That was at a low temperature, just going. And then this, I turned the heat off. We were just that far away from the pasta being ready, but after a minute, it's ready to go. Pasta's ready, Christine.
Okay. So, because this gets messy with the water and it's heavy.
Yep.
So, can you take it out and bring it over to
Yep.
the top part?
Ready?
Put that in there. Oh, those are nice noodles.
Aren't they?
Yeah, they look good. It almost looks like a pappardelle. I mean, they're very wide.
They're nice and meaty,
Yeah, like hearty.
Yep.
Okay, because I don't need this anymore.
And this is where it all happens. All the heat.
You want to do it here?
Yep. All the heat from the pasta will start cooking that egg.
And it won't scramble because you have all of the cheese in there.
Exactly. That's why we mix it together. And look at that.
Wow, the smells that are coming out of here are so good. Okay, get all that egg in there.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Am I taking away the fun part? You want to do this?
No, I just want to watch.
Okay. Really get
A
that
little more of
nicely
this on
mixed
top.
because the egg tends to cool at the sides. So you want to make sure the
Yeah,
pasta,
keep it
because
moving.
even though the pasta has cooked, it will absorb all of that extra liquid. And that's what makes it so creamy.
Yep. That's why it's almost like a cream sauce,
Yeah.
but it's not. And then everything kind of comes to a halt. You know, it's hot and it cooks just perfectly, and then
It has its own stop point. You can see my voice. It has its own stop point.
it does. Same thing as the bacon before in the
Yeah.
in the reduction.
You keep going.
That's ready to go. And that's the
Okay.
thing. It's ready to serve right
Let me
now.
get 2 forks. I gotta get some extra forks, everybody, for after. That's what we do.
Let's serve it up and do a little bit of.
Get some of that bacon in there. Whoop.
Perfect.
A little bit of that parsley. Just gives it a nice burst of color. Perfect.
It's gorgeous.
Get a napkin. Just wipe the side.
I'm a big fan of cracked pepper, and you know, same thing as salt. I do a lot of that afterwards. So
Because you know
that
some people like, some people
yeah,
don't.
you don't know, and you know, you can't take it away, but you can add it.
Thank you. All right, now we get to try. Grab a fork.
Been waiting for this all day. I'm actually hungry. I waited for it.
Oh my god, it's good. It's really good. The cheese is amazing, and the bacon, as much as you put in there, not overpowering. It's got a nice,
Bacon's not overpowering at all, and that wine
really nice acidity to it.
really added the flavor.
Yep, it balances that out.
It's great that we didn't overcook the pasta as well.
No, this is
That's
good.
the beauty of these wide noodles.
Well, thank you for being here and sharing with us your recipe.
You're
I'm
welcome.
sure everyone will
Thank you
make
for
it.
having me.
And we'll see you next time with Food for Thought.
Right? My goodness.